Good evening and welcome to Corporate News. I'm Anna and this is Cromwell.
Oi, chummers.
Cromwell is with me once again to help recap last week's events as well as informing us on a subject that is very important to Cromwell, I believe.
Right, or anyone from Boston for that matter.
It's true.
Alright, you needs to know this, first of all. If you've been anywhere near Boston in the Sixth World, you may have heard of this thing called CFD. In fact, if you've been anywhere in the last year or so, you're probably hearing these rumors. What about little robots what gets in your brain? And they fights each other, and they rewrites your entire brain to a new personality, right?
These are nanobots, to be specific.
Right, little robots,
yes.
like I said.
Exactly.
Tiny ones,
yes.
like so tiny you can barely see them. Well,
Nanoscopic, one might call it, yeah.
right, that's what I meant. Anyway, what you need to know is this. They get in your head, they change things, no one's exactly sure where they came from. Some people blame Neonet, some people blame Evo, some people say they came from Mars, which is mostly Evo, I suppose, but no one really knows. The proper etiquette, if someone with CFD comes to your party, in front of their face, you call them a monad.
So, I'm sorry, what does CFD stand for?
Right, cognitive fragmentation disorder, which is exactly what the corps call it, because when you call it a disorder, it sounds like a disease and not something that some madman came up with in the laboratory and infected you with just so some corporation could make a little more nuyen somewhere.
So these are little tiny robots that work together to actually rewrite the pathways of your brain.
Exactly.
Horrifying.
And the exact vector at which you can catch him is a little bit unknown. No one's sure. Can you make out with someone with CFD? I wouldn't recommend it. Not to mention the personality shifts may cause you relationship trouble in the future. But everyone's kind of nervous around it. Having spent some time in Boston myself, along with Elsie, for instance, we haven't been back. We don't know when a friend calls, are they our friend, or there's some kind of army of tiny robots in their brain talking to us.
Pseudo sci-fi zombie, essentially.
Right, you could call it that. Now, this is only important, as we found out partway through our mission, or we might not have accepted the Shadowrun we're on. See, we were hired by Mitsuama to go into Shiawase and take a janitor, because everyone knows a janitor's the most valuable resource any corporation has. Has access to documents, keeps the place clean, puts down those little yellow signs that say Piso Mahodo. Anyway, getting back to it, I figured...
Careful, slippery when wet?
Yes, exactly. Now, I figured that made sense. Right, of course they want the janitor. He's got this information, so I didn't think it through too much.
Sure.
We gets there, it turns out this janitor has CFD. Now, I have a little bit of a difficult history with Japan in the first place. Mitsuhama flew us out there. They flew us out there. They didn't actually give us a way to get back. Not until we get this janitor, what turns out has CFD. Last we checked in, we were being floated into the air toward the quarters where this janitor lives. In the meantime, in my brain, I've started to think of several reasons that maybe we didn't think our plan out very well. In addition...
Now, wait a second. You're telling me that the legendary Mfek did not adequately plan their run?
Well, we're kind of improvisers, so,
Right, improvising.
We mostly rely on plans B, C, D, E, and F. Plan F, by the way, is Fang, who I believe is currently throwing a trash can at the front of the building in hopes of causing a distraction. Beyond that, let's see, what do you need to know? Mordecai he stole a cat from a cafe. We made him put it in a park, but I suspect we'll see that cat again. His name is Cornbread. I adopted a very, it's definitely a dog, if anyone asks, very large and sort of growly dog.
You're all getting pets then.
Well, some of us. Sometimes I think that maybe I myself, Cromwell, am Elsie's pet, so she may already have one.
I could see that. Well, she already has Mr. Pickles, I believe his name is?
Yes, she has Mr. Pickles, a Boston Terrier with some cybernetic improvements.
Excellent. So, you maintain that it's a dog. That seems to be a subject of dispute.
Well, it says it on the license. It may have come about after some trouble with a cybernetically enhanced bear, what no one's quite sure what to do about, and it may have caused a diplomatic problem between the Sailor Shahid Council and the Seattle Metroplex. But I don't really get into those things, right? Politics, boring, don't really read the news. If a bear needs help, I'm there to help the bear. I mean, dog.
Dog, of course. So refresh the run once again. You went in to liberate this janitor.
We flew to Japan on an experimental jet. We were given several pieces of experimental hardware, which we were assured will not glitch, and yet I have a feeling they might glitch if we use them. We'll probably talk about in the show. We've got grenades, weapons, all kinds of things like that. We were sent to, let's see, where are we? Kyoto, I believe. We are there trying to break into Shiawase headquarters to get this janitor.
So you haven't gotten the janitor quite yet.
Not yet. He's still inside. Apparently, he's being all weird, probably on account of the CFD.
That does sound tricky. So if anybody has questions for us in particular about what CFD is, then by all means pop those into the chat. Do tag HyperRPG or Anna, and that will be more readily visible for us. We'll give it a couple minutes for people to enter those questions. But to me, CFD sounds like one of the most horrifying things in the Sixth World. I think, and that's saying something when you talk about a world that has all manner of horrors and creatures coming out of the dark. For Cripe's sake, there are dragons, but I'm more personally more afraid of CFD than I am of any dragon, and I think that is not to discredit the dragons.
Well, dragons are too big to get inside your brain, as far as I know. There's two very scary things in the Sixth World, if you ask me. There's CFD, and there's the R's, what lurk beyond, which everyone keeps saying are going to show up one day and make everything terrible. But as far as I can tell, humans are pretty good at making it terrible on their own, and CFD is one of the worst things they've done.
All right, well, I am not seeing any particular questions. A whole lot of people agreeing that CFDs are, in fact, terrifying.
I'll answer one question there, one comment that came up. There's several strains of CFD, I believe. Each one might have some different personality quirks. You can get multiple strains in your brain, and they fight each other. And that combination, whichever one becomes dominant, kind of decides your new personality. You may even have it right now, and you may blank out and, not even know.
Not even realize. Like, maybe you wake up and you're like, what happened? Oh, I gave the GM a whole lot of edge, which is a very evil thing to do, which I shouldn't have done. I don't know how it happened. CFD. One question, can the nanites be destroyed using EMC? I believe because they're nanites, the kind of electromagnetic pulse that would be required to destroy the nanites would also destroy the person with them.
Right. So, yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But what's the collateral damage? Rumor has it that a Technomancer might be able to do something about it. Guess what Infect does not have? It's a Technomancer.
And here's a very personal question that you do not have to answer if you do not want. BP Phantom would like to know if you have ever had to put down a friend that had contracted CFD.
I've put down a couple of people who might have had CFD, but would I call any of them my friend? Not yet. There are a few of my old chummers in Boston, though, that have dropped off the grid, and I don't know what's happened to them. So let's hope that the answer doesn't become yes in the near future.
And one more time, what does CFD stand for?
cognitive fragmentation disorder.
Cognitive fragmentation disorder. Can they affect someone who's unaugmented? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They don't infect your cyberware, they infect your brain itself. So, pretty terrifying devices, frankly. Absolutely.
And I believe, I'm not certain, I do think they're self-replicating. I mean, that seems to be the nanite thing to do.
Yeah.
The year is 2077 for infect right now, so not all the information's completely out there.
What is going on? Why are they accepting CFD victims in the Sioux Nation? I don't know.
2077, Cromwell's not quite sure, but the Sioux Nation is some certain deals with certain corporations. So always say look to the corporate court or one of the specific corporations when you have a question like that.
Can they affect bears? I mean, dogs was a question from Y3050 Hippie.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That'd be terrible. Oh, I mean, a bear's got a very specific personality, and for someone to change that would be a crime against the great bear, against nature, and against all common sense.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, thank you very much, Cromwell. I appreciate the recap once again this week and the overview on what CFD is.
All right, well, thanks, Anna.
Good luck on the rest of your run. I hope you get that janitor in check.
Good luck trying to corral the corporations. I'd rather fight a CFD janitor than a corporation.
Thank you. And that brings us to the news portion of corporate news. Go figure. Just to recap, this is corporate news where we do a recap of the last week's Corporate Sins Shadowrun events, and I rehash the corporate metagame, Corporate Wars. And of course, corporate metagame, Corporate Wars is the game that we have built around our Shadowrun, our weekly Shadowrun RPG show of Corporate Sins. And it's designed to give you all something more to interact with and a way to interact with the game that goes on screen as well. It is still in development, very much so, and hopefully we'll be seeing some very big developments coming up in the next week, I'm hoping. So, without further ado, let me give you all the recap of, or a picture of this week's action point distribution. Refresh that page and get the current numbers. Wow, ooh, Shiawase in the last roughly 15 minutes has lost an action point. They are now at 16 for the week. 16 action points for Shiawase, who is the usual lead contender from week to week. Evo and Seder Krupp both get 12 action points, while Ares, As Technology, and Neonet each get 10. Trailing behind that is Horizon with 9, Wuxing with 8 action points, and both Renraku and Mitsuhama each have 7. We have a very important news development, breaking news right now, as Fang has entered the you don't really want to show that.
Yeah, I don't want to show that part, but I gotta.
Fang has entered the news studio. I don't know how she got past security, but she seems very delighted by this fascinating package in her hands.
I got a box, guys. Hi, chat. Hi, chat. Hi, chat. I wanted to share with you guys the box because I don't know what's in it. I have a good hint, but I wanted to. I wanted to share.
Careful, some of it might be explosive.
I got knowledge, guys. I got knowledge. I got the manga guide to all these things. I got biochemistry and calculus, which I'm going to read tonight, and databases. I don't know anything about databases. And electricity. I'm going to learn so much. There's more.
This is why you should never let Fang go to Japan.
And linear algebra. Guys, I'm gonna learn so much. I'm so happy. I want to say thank you. I'm pretty sure. And physics and relatively, I don't know anything about relativity.
Oh, I do.
I don't even know what that is, and now I'm gonna learn. Oh my god. So I just want to come in and be like, this is like the nicest thing ever. I want to say thank you to Negihama. I'm gonna start reading this, and I just really appreciated it, and I want to show you on camera because you guys are really cool, and I'm really excited to be a part of this world.
That's very sweet. Where's security?
Yeah, okay.
Why
I have
hasn't
to,
security arrived?
I have to go.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, back to the news. Like I was saying, Mitsuhama and Renraku each have 7 action points. That is the action point total for the week. This is corporate news. We are recapping last week's Shadowrun Corporate Sin session and going over the actions taken last week in the corporate war. Now, sorry. Okay. Last week, Lockheed Martin was proud to announce that the CCSS NEAT, the first of its Alexander-class spacecraft, had its first successful flight this past Wednesday. At 8 p.m. local in Seattle State, UCAS, the NEAT launched on a high-atmosphere test flight heading to Osaka in the Japanese Imperial State. Aside from a few unexpected bad weather conditions, the test flight was extremely successful, with all systems functioning as expected. A minimum crew was also on board in order to test in-flight procedures. Further testing is expected, with more high-atmosphere flights leading up to the final phase of low-orbit test flights scheduled for sometime this summer. Euroflice, an SK Agriculture subsidiary, that's Cederkrupp Agriculture, presents the new bacon-flavored Beckerwurst. Part of a balanced Cederkrupp-approved and endorsed diet, perfect for any occasion, and a favorite at picnics and barbecues everywhere. Available in trays and party packs, a delicious sausage with just the right amount of sizzle. Beckerwurst, it's the best. General Dynamics, an Ares macro technology subsidiary, has come back from their debacle with a statement from Chief Engineer Zachary Rubonkestein. Perhaps if we construct a giant wooden badger. He has been summarily fired from a cannon into the sun by CEO Damian Knight. An unknown source released a video featuring some harrowing news. The video features a reporter for an unknown network working off of an anonymous news tip. The reporter investigated the Desert Storm Security, a Shiwase law enforcement subsidiary, facilities in the suburbs of Seattle City, where they learned some horrifying facts. It seems that Desert Storm Security is conducting a wide and varied series of horrifying experiments on purported technomancers in an effort to understand their unusual and mystical abilities and control them. Most experiments left the technomancers, awakened individuals in their majority, either catatonic with fear, insane, or dead. Neo Tokyo, Japan, earlier today, the board of NeoNet held a press conference on a private airstrip near Neo Tokyo, Japan. The corporate jet taking them, and it is said, multiple cases of expensive champagne, back from France, where they had just introduced the new Neo Station terminal and celebrated their successful debut in the media industry, to Boston, Massachusetts, was mysteriously rerouted mid-flight. Neonet CEO read the following statement in a broken voice that betrayed deep emotion. The head of the outstanding research team that developed the Neo Station, the groundbreaking terminal that seamlessly blends, like never before, normal and virtual reality, computing and entertainment, was savagely assassinated last night in his Neo Tokyo lab. Neonet's board could do no less than come and offer words of comfort to his aggrieved family. They were also words of vengeance. Neonet's retaliation against the murderers will be swift and ruthless. Neonet's investigators will work with any entity capable of achieving this outcome, fast and adequately. All planned celebrations of the Neo Station's introduction were delayed until further notice. The fate of the champagne cases is unknown. Pensadyne is proud to announce the latest innovation in biotechnology, affordable long-term enhancement regimen, also known as ALTER. For a fraction of the regular price of a BioWare implant, you can start the process of growing it yourself. No need for the inconvenience of the operating table, and no recovery time at all. Over the course of several months, Evo's patented ALTER serum will allow you to grow one of the many popular Evo implants currently on the market, one injection at a time. For more information, please contact the closest Evo representative. Evo, changing life because we care. Disclaimer, the ALTER serum must be used under the proper supervision and guidance of an Evo medical personnel, each injection sold separately. That is all I have for this week's news. There was some research and there was some development, but those were the only press releases given. Now, if people have questions, I've got chat pulled back up. If there are questions about the corporate metagame, I am happy to answer them. If there are questions about the Shadowrun world in general, I will do my best, though I am by no means an expert in the Shadowrun verse. There may also be people in chat who are able to answer them. But I'm happy to answer questions about the corporate metagame. I am happy to do my best to answer questions about MFEC or even corporate sins, the game in general. So please go ahead and do toss those into chat. How do I run the shadows? Well, you start by getting yourself a fixer. Fixer is very important for a Shadowrunner there, who will get you any gear that you need and sell any gear that you don't want, and possibly be able to hook you up with a Mr. Johnson. The Mr. Johnson, of course, will be your employer. Mr. Johnson is not an actual person, but a series of people who use the moniker of Mr. Johnson to disguise their identities. Once you've got a Mr. Johnson, well, you've got to run, and you are a runner. Let's see, I'm not seeing any particular questions other than that, so by all means, do toss those into chat if you have them. I will say this week promises to be an interesting one in terms of the corporate metagame. We'll see how everything plays out, but I'm looking forward to the rolls later on. I did, in fact, get myself a new dice bag after Zach so heinously corrupted the one that I had. I still have the other one, but I will not keep dice that I plan to roll in it. Such as the life of a hyper RPG employee, constantly needing to replace our games, our dice for our games. On a scale of 1 to Zach, how evil is the metagame? Well, it includes 10 incredibly evil mega corporations, so I would say it is at least a Zach. It is at least a Zach, sure. What sort of thoughts are currently being tossed around via rule changes in the metagame? Well, outright, we're looking at ways to adjust how action points are calculated. We can see that there are imbalances ongoing from week to week, and we want to encourage engagement, not discourage it. So we are looking at ways to add a another layer on how AP is calculated without feeling like we're taking anything from anyone. So there's that. Will there be an overarching story in Corporate Sins? There already is, Chaos. There already is. Send the dice to Hua Wheaton. I would rather keep them for myself, or occasionally throw them at Zach. Wouldn't it be easier to replace Zach than just keep on replacing dice? What is more valuable? As much as I occasionally poke fun at Zach, he is far more difficult to replace than simple dice. Also, probably much more expensive. Zach is, you know, we like to joke and poke fun about how difficult he can be, but this channel quite literally would not exist without him, without his tireless efforts to create these shows for you all. Really, none of this would be here without Zach's effort, without Zach's incredible dedication to this channel, to providing you all with quality entertainment. So yeah, I'm going to go right ahead and take your joking question and give you a serious answer that Zach is pretty darn irreplaceable at this channel. So Zach does really roll actually quite well for what he wants on these shows. So believe it or not, he does. I am not seeing other questions, but we do still have a little bit of time left. So if people have questions for me about the corporate metagame beyond that, I've got about 5 minutes left before the show starts. So do toss those into chat. Make sure you tag HyperRPG or me, Anna. Are people in chat like citizens in the Sixth World? Many of them are, in fact, citizens of the Sixth World. Yes. Who is that behind you? The face. This one is Jubilee. That one's Wonder Woman. Those are henchmen of some kind. Oh, you mean the angry face? This is Amir. Amir helped build the studio into what it is with his hands, and Joe is the reason, or Amir is the reason that Joe has to redo a lot of the wiring here. But no, to Amir's credit, without him, we probably would not have made our launch date on time. So that is Amir, who hates the fact that we have a picture of him up there. Usually there is a bag of dicks hanging from it, but they must have fallen off one too many times. Can I make my own magic tradition? I have no idea. If I had to form my own brand new corp, what would its theme be? Oh goodness, that's a very, very heavy question. I believe it would be very focused on Matrix technology, cyberware, and let me actually look at the current market. Let me tell you exactly what market segments I would want it to be strong in. Media, that would probably be the other one. Media, Matrix, and let me see. Yeah, Media and Matrix. Those would be the primary ones. And cyberware. Media, Matrix, cyberware. Death, Murder, Mayhem. Sure. That too, of course. I mean, it would be a megacorp, so yeah, it would include that. Super Coffee Maker Corp. Yes. We would have the best wired streaming coffee makers in the world. So Google, and it would make Google. Pretty much, yes. I would make Google. Why hasn't the educational system adjusted to the needs of the orc and troll community? Atomic Glitch, I can't really answer that, other than perhaps it is not a lucrative demographic. That is not a good reason, but it is a logical one to a megacorp. Cyberware plus coffee makers equals bliss. It's true. Also, we would, of course, be streaming live to the Matrix and, you know, the Tridio. It would be glorious. I believe we're just about ready to head on over to the main show, Corporate Sins. So thank you for joining me on Corporate News. I hope that you enjoy this upcoming run with Mfek. That's all I've got for you. So enjoy the main event, Corporate Sins. Till next week, or till the end of the show.